back to accountancy class. Since last class, we are going through the different needs as well as the necessity of preparing accounting transactions. Right? So yesterday we discussed different concepts related to accounting, means meaning as well as definition of accounting, and also various characteristics of accounting process. Let us discuss today different objectives of accounting process. Right? So accounting activities are prepared by many organizations with the specific objectives as well as the motives. So we'll discuss today which are the various objectives of preparing accounting work. So there are 5 objectives and we'll take one by one. So number 1 is to maintain proper records of business transactions. The first objective of preparing accounting work is to maintain the proper records of business transactions. Normally we know that every business organization, they do many activities day by day in the year activity, correct? So purchase of goods or selling of goods and services or the payment of salary to the employees. These are the common transactions of every business organization, right? And it has to be recorded in the proper books of account. If we record it in the proper books of account, then only it will be used for the further calculations, right? Even though for efficient accountant also, it is not possible to remember all those things and taken all those things for the calculation of profit or loss at the end of the period, right? So that is why, in order to reduce that problem, in order to eliminate those things, we have to prepare books of account, and those transactions which were recorded in accounting information will be used as the information, major information for the further answer. So that is why, in order to maintain proper books of account of or proper records of business transactions, accounting work is prepared. So this is the first objective of accounting. And the second one is to ascertain the profit or loss of the business. This is the key objective of preparing accounting transaction. We do all the activities. We perform various transactions day by day in the business organization only to maximize the amount of profit. What is the amount of profit or loss we get in this year? It has to be calculated. And how can we calculate? Without preparing accounting or without recording those transactions in the books of account, at last remembering all those things, considering all those things and calculating the profit or loss, it is impossible to any employee of the organization. To make it possible to calculate the profit or loss of the business concern, so from the beginning we have to record various books of account by preparing the accounting work, right? So that is why, most importantly, to calculate, to ascertain the profit or loss of the organization, we have to prepare the accounting transaction. Accounting work, it specifies or it consists various transactions of the business concern. What are the incomes we received? What are the payments we paid? What are the assets we received? Or how much amount of money we have paid here from the business organization? Or how much amount of liabilities, means amount of money we taken from the outsiders as investment, right? So these things are majorly considered for the calculation of profit as well as the losses, right? As we know that calculation of profit is nothing but difference or the comparison of incomes as well as the expenses, revenues as well as the expenses, right? So in order to know that list of expenses as well as the revenues, proper books of account need to be maintained, right? So if you open the proper books of account and recorded all the transactions of incomes as well as the expenses during the year, right? So during the year, which are the incomes and expenses we made, if it is listed in the proper books of account, then only it will be analyzed, summarized and calculated for the profit as well as losses. So dear students, normally accounting work is prepared with the key objective of ascertaining the profit as well as loss of the business concern. So normally Anybody can say this is the amount of profit or loss we get in this year only by preparing or only by seeing the accounting transaction. So, in order to make it possible of calculating the accurate profit or loss of the business concerned, we have to prepare accounting activities, means various books of account. This is the second objective. And the third one is accounting transactions are not only here prepared to record the business transactions and also not only to ascertain the profit or loss of the business concern, because success or maybe the activities of the business concern here not only depend on the recording, just recording of business transactions, and also not only by calculating. Once we know the profit or loss of business concern, we cannot be deciding, this is the good business or with the strengthened business, right? So maybe the future activities of the business also will be considered for the successful activities of the organization. So that is why just not only for the calculation of profit or loss, not only for recording the business transactions, and also for many reasons accounting works are prepared or accounting transactions are prepared. So number 3 is, the third objective is to know the sources of revenue as well as the expenses, right? So normally profit or losses are calculated by comparing the revenue as well as expense of the business only, right? And as a businessman or as a parties of the business, the person connected to the business concern, I must know that here how we earn the amount of profit or how we get that losses, right? So in order to know how we get the profit or how we get the loss, so we need to observe the revenue as well as the expenses sources. So sources of revenue and expenses means from which sources we received money. Revenue means here receiving of money for the transactions, and expenses means payment of money or payment of something for the transaction. So by preparing accounting transactions, we can easily ascertain as well as judge from where we receive the money. This is the source of revenue, and also for for whom we paid the amount, right? For which transactions we paid the amount, right? To know that source of revenue as well as expenses, accounting transactions is prepared, right? Accounting transactions or accounting work that consists here all the activities. Even if you receive 1 rupee from outside party for any transaction, normally it has to be recorded in the books of account, right? So there are many petty cash books in the organization maintained by the organization that records even 1 rupee transaction also. If you feel that, if you consider that 1 rupee transactions also important or material for the business organization, significant for the business organization, and as per the rule you can be recorded, right? So accounting work that consists of here all the transactions, recording of all the transactions. So through that you can know that, you come to know that from where we receive the money and for what purpose we paid the money, called expenses as well as revenues of the business. Because once we know that sources of revenue as well expenses, and only we can go for the calculation of profit as well as losses, right? So this will be helpful for the further activities or improving the performance of the business in the future. We need to know the revenues as well as the expense of the business concern. And the fourth objective is to ascertain the financial positions of the business concern. There are many organizations, normally by seeing the profit or loss of the business concern, we cannot be judged that that is a good business or maybe the bad business, right? We cannot go for the judgment here. If we have good amount of profit, it is very difficult to say one of the reputed business or highly marketed business, right? Even though if you get lost this year, we cannot be say that this is the bad business or maybe the weak business, right? So that is why, in order to know the financial position of the business, that accounting work also will be helpful, right? So what is called here financial position of the business? Normally, accounting work that consists of recording of here various assets as well as the liabilities of the business concern. right? So normally all liabilities and assets are recorded in the proper books of account. Right? In every stages, purchase of assets as well as the payment of expenses as well as the amount of money which received from the outside parties as an investment also recorded. They all are called assets as well as the liabilities of the business concern. Normally, assets and liabilities will say us here what is the financial position of the business concern, right? So once we have proper picture of both assets as well as liabilities which are recorded in the books of account, I think for anybody, it is easy to judge the financial position of the business concern. Right? There are many parties, for example, shareholders or investors or bankers or other financial institutions. They invested much amount of money, so much amount of money on the business activities, right? Only with the intention of expecting good return on their investment. Right? I think in order to take decisions by those parties and they will go further, think which seen in the books of account called what is the financial position of the business concern, right? If the accounting methods or accounting records which gives here good financial positions, then only they take good decisions on the activities of the investments. That is why it is very important to know the financial position of the business concern by the different users of the business concern, and by preparing accounting transactions for them it is easy to ascertain what they require. This is nothing but financial position of the business concern. So this is the fourth objective of accounting. And next, number 4 is last one we could discuss here, to ascertain the amount due from an amount due to the business. Always the business will be operated with the outsiders money, right? Normally shareholders are also called one of the parties who invest money on the business concern, right? In case of multinational corporations or any business accountings, business is called actually separate entity, and the accounting works are prepared with the intention or from the point of view of the business only, not from the point of view of the owner, right? It means the owner investment is also called actually one of the liability for the business concern, right? So means insider fund, owner's fund as well as the outsiders fund. Still, at last, for the business concern, they all are called liabilities of the business, right? So that is why it is very important to see that from whom we collected the amount of money, whether from the shareholders, means directly from the owners, or maybe by issuing debentures. Debentures also one of the security can be issued to the outside parties to collect the money, to raise the money. Right? What is the amount of money we collected from the outsiders? And what are the amount of money? What is the size of the amount of money we collected from the bankers, banking institutions called commercial banks, or maybe from other financial institutions, or maybe from creditors, common creditors. Right? So I think these all things are properly recorded in the books of account. This is nothing but ascertain the amount due to the business. Due to the business means from where we raise the money, from where we collected the money, and also the business will give much amount of money to outside parties as credit. Right? For example, for the various customers, for various other parties who has connections, the contact with the business concern, right? So the business also may be responsible or have rights to collect money from the outside parties, which is due from outsides, right? So that is why, in order to ascertain two things, one is what is the amount of money which is due from outsides, and also which is due to the business concern, right? Business is always operated or with the performing all the activities here with the outside parties, and sometimes business also gives much amount of money to the outside parties during the transactions. It is called credit transactions, right? So as an accountant or as a businessman or as a parties or users of accounting, I must know that here for whom I have connected with the due from as well as the due to. So all those things are properly recorded in the accounting transactions, and it is helpful to ascertain the amount due as well as the amount due from. So these are the different objectives of the accounting. and I hope you understand that. And if you understand, I'll go for the next concept, that is roles of accounting. So accounting always furnishes various roles in the inside as well as outside of the business organization. So roles of accounting is nothing but how the accounting activities acts inside the as well as the outside the business organizations. Okay, so because in every business organization, for accounting work we use a much importance, because they acts accounting transactions or accounting work acts major roles in the organization, playing major roles in the organizations. So let us discuss now which are the different roles played by the accounting work. So the topic is roles of accounting. These are quite different from objectives of accounting, which are the roles here played by the accounting work. So we'll discuss one by one. Number one is as a language. As a language, right? So normally we all people speaks particular language as a way of communication or mode of communications, right? So for example, Kannada or English or Hindi, these are the different languages normally we use in mode of communications, as mode of communications. And what is the use of using those languages in the communication means, it is a method of sharing our views, or we sharing whatever we want to express, right, to the other persons. It is a way of sharing the informations, data, opinions, views, etc., etc. The same way in the organization, accounting acts as one of the language, right? So for the business organization, what is your language? If I ask, we could easily say accounting is one of the language of the business concern, because on behalf of the business, who speaks in the business concern called actually accounting only, because the human beings or accountant or maybe various person who connected with the preparation of accounting actually, he records each and everything of the business in the books of account, right? So what comes in, what goes out, who is the giver of the transaction, who is the receiver, right? What you received, what you paid, what is the amount of money, what are the properties of the money, from whom we raised the amount, collected the amount, right? For whom we are responsible to pay the amount of money, from where we purchase the goods, for whom we sell the goods, all those things, each and everything, right? Day by day, what are the transactions are going to be happen, everything will be recorded in the books of account, right? As a user of the accounting, as a person who connected with the business concern, if you have any doubts, queries, or if you want to talk with the business, I think by seeing the accounting transactions, you can be able to have all the information. So that is why we can say in business organization, accounting always acts as one of the language, because whatever the information you require, the only thing physically don't talk, right? But the thing is, whatever the information you require, like from the business organization about the whole activities of enterprise, it can be given only by the accounting process. So we could say one of the role played by the accounting process as a language. This is the explanation for first point. And the second one is as a historical record. Historical record. So normally every businessman, say owners or promoters, they are the parties or person normally invest money on the business concern at initial stage, and starting the business, operating the business and running the business. And at the time of starting the business, all businessmen or with the owners, they start the business with the intention of continuing that business for the longer period of time. That is called actually going concern concept, right? We will start the business with the intention of good, that is we will be continue or running or operating our business concern for a longer period of time. Normally we don't fix a specified period to start as well as the finish the work, right? So with the intention of continuing those business activities for more period of time only, we will start the activities, right? And the same time, once you completed first year, or the second year, or third year, or if you are there in fifth year of the business experience, business activities, you might be, need information of your previous, right? So that is why. But accounting always, includes the transactions of each and every year, right? From first day of your business till the end day of the business experience, that all the transactions are properly recorded in the books of account and the accounting process, right? Whenever you require it, the accounting process will use, historical record also. For example, if you are in 2020 and if you want the information of, business concern about like 5 or 10 years back, for example, information of 1990, if you require about the business concern, I think who will give the information means only accounting, right? So it always acts as a historical record, right? So about the company, if you want or require any past information, previous year information, it always, gives you. However, it is not the duty of current year accounting, but still it gives you historical as well as the past records of the past history of the business concern, how your business was started, what was the initial level of the business concern. These all those things. As a human being, I should know that my history, right? To perform the activities, right? To lead my life in the future. I think some of the point which should be connected with taken from the past, right? So history of my life is also important for the current activities, right? To lead my life in the future, it is always important how I was in the past. So that is why even for the business also it is required. Whatever the information you required about the history of the business concern from the first date of starting the business, the books or maybe the thing which gives you called accounting only. So that is why it is always act as a historical record. And number three is as a commodity. As a commodity. The third role which played by your accounting called commodity. So commodity is nothing but the thing which you actually dealing in the business. Right? It may be the goods or services or articles, anything. They all are called normally commodity. Right? For example, yours is one of the industry producing the cosmetics or the food or food waste. These are the things if you are going to manufacturing, and they all are called product as well as the commodities. And in the organization, you give much importance for the production of those things, production of those commodities, because if you purchase those goods in well manner, and if you sell it in the market, then only we can earn the more amount of profit and we can go for the good position wise, finance position wise, we can be in good positions only by selling the goods and services. Means in every business organization, we give much importance to the commodity. So the same time, same way in accounting or in organization, accounting transaction is also called one of the commodity. How we give importance to the commodity in the organization? Commodity means other things we produced, right? From which thing we are going to earn the profit, they are the commodity, right? The same thing importance, right? The same importance always given to the accounting, because accounting is always act as a commodity, correct? So that is why many people, they are urged to watch or receive the status of the business concern or position of the business concern, right? So these things will be provided by the accounting process only for the different users, right? So that is why in every business organization, what the importance, right? The size or the extent of importance we give for the commodity, same it should be given for the accounting, because one company's plus or minus or strength and weakness, right? Or everything related to the good positions of the business concern, to reach the good position of the business concern, whatever we require to see that, to judge that, Many things are required. So all the things will be provided with accounting only. So this is called as commodity, right? So one of the accounting activities played as good role called accounting as a accounting or as a commodity. And number four is information system. The fourth role which played by accounting in business organization called that is as an information system. Of course, business is always records the transactions of full 1 year, and after finishing the recordings of 1 year, then only we will go for the calculation of profit as well as the losses. Right? So it is very difficult for any efficient people or employee of the organization, workforce of the organization, remembering all those things which happens in middle of the year, right? Or maybe on particular date, right? And what happens actually in that particular date, which may be important, always required on particular date of calculating the profit or losses, right? So then what we could, or the what thing will be provided with the information during that period. So the only accounting process, right? So how the systems or when other people provide here information about the activities of the business concern, the same time accounting also provides us very good information, right? So it always acts as an information system about the business. Whatever the information you require, it may be about the profit or loss, right? Or the payment of salary, or the goods sold, or goods purchases, right? So for anything, if you want the information, it always given by the only one process that is in the business called accounting. So accounting is always act as an information system. Next, number five is as a current economic reality. As I told in the beginning, there are many users who connected with the accounting activities of the business council, and they must know what is the economic reality of the business council. Right? If we are in good position of economic reality, then only we can be easily judged that we are under the good positions in the business organizations, because there are many parties who invested much amount of money in the business concern. For example, we take the money from the shareholders or debenture holders or from the bankers or from the normal creditors. They also see what is the position of my investment, what I have done in the initial stage. Right? That is called actually current economic reality. Yes or no? For example, as we all know that whole country as well as world is facing now one of the pandemic diseases called COVID-19. Right? So during this critical condition, what is the reality of my business, what is the condition of my business, I think everyone they want to see that, right? If you invested on any business activities, right, what is the position of my business even during this pandemic situation, right? So we all are early need to know that, or need to know that, we wanted to know that. I think nobody will see you, nobody will say you that this is the position of our business during this pandemic situations. Right? I think the only thing which provides me here good information about current reality of the business council only called accounting process. So accounting process also act as the one of the role called here as a current economic reality. So dear students, these are the different roles of accounting which played in the business organization. I repeat, there are 5 accounting roles. Number 1 is as a language, and second one is as a historical record. Number 3 is as a commodity. Next is as an information system, and last one is as a current economic reality. So that is why I think you can see that, you can observe that here. What is the importance of the accounting work in the organization? So if there is no accounting, then very difficult to see a single day performance of the business concern, right? So from the calculation of profit till the judging point of view of financial position of the business concern, we require to maintain various books of account under accounting process. So these are the different roles as well as that objectives we finished just now are the roles and objectives of the accounting. So this is about objectives as well as roles. In the next class we'll see which are the basic terms used in accounting. So normally in accounting there are various accounting terms are used and we'll see in the next class. Thank you.